two nations with nuclear arsenals. Both are locked into sharing a single river system with enough built-in tension to start a war on its own. Then, just this week, a standard trip by a U.S. ambassador triggered a severe diplomatic crisis. The surface-level headlines miss the connection between these events, but once those links are clear, the path toward a potential 2026 conflict becomes visible. To understand the current escalation, we have to look back at April 2025. Gunmen attacked a tourist destination in Pahalgam, Kashmir, leaving 26 civilians dead. India immediately accused Pakistan-backed militants of orchestrating the violence. That accusation triggered 4 intense days of direct military clashes and airstrikes between the two states. The active shooting eventually stopped, but the conflict didn't end. India locked down the border completely and severed all bilateral trade. Then India took a step it had avoided for 65 years. It pulled out of the Indus Waters Treaty, the foundational agreement governing the shared rivers between the two countries. Abandoning that agreement removed a critical guardrail, creating the volatility that makes every subsequent escalation far more dangerous. This map shows the geography of the Indus Waters Treaty. You can see the 6 distinct rivers originating in Indian territory before flowing downstream directly into Pakistan. Looking at this overlay, the stakes become clear. 9 out of 10 Pakistanis live within this specific river basin footprint. It irrigates over 90% of their crops and powers all of their hydroelectric plants. India claims the treaty is suspended until Pakistan stops cross-border terrorism. Because India sits upstream, they hold total physical control over the water supply. Pakistan responded by taking the issue to international arbitration and actually won. The court ruled the suspension illegal. India completely rejected the ruling, calling the court illegitimate. Pakistan's defense ministry has now elevated the water dispute to a national security threat, one they say justifies a direct military response. This brings us to the diplomatic breakdown that happened this week in Indian-administered Kashmir. U.S. Ambassador Sergio Gore became the first sitting American ambassador to visit the contested region since 2019. During the trip, he publicly called Kashmir an important part of India. For decades, the United States has officially treated Kashmir as an unresolved dispute, so this single phrase discarded a long-held stance of American neutrality. Islamabad summoned the top American diplomat in furious protest. Almost immediately after, Pakistan removed the security barricades outside India's High Commission. India retaliated by tearing down the perimeter around Pakistan's building in Delhi. Stripping away these physical security barriers removes the remaining diplomatic buffers between two nuclear rivals. While border tensions rise, Pakistan secured a significant strategic shift by joining a new regional alliance, the Mecca Pact. This graphic illustrates the scope of the treaty. It forms a mutual defense alliance linking Pakistan, Saudi Arabia, and Turkey. The core rule of the agreement is that an attack on one member is treated as an attack on all 3. India made a rapid strategic countermove in response. They chose to accelerate and deepen their already growing defense partnership with Israel. Within days of the Mecca Pact, the Indian and Israeli prime ministers held direct phone calls to coordinate their response to the changing geopolitical map. These hardening alliance blocks ensure that even a small skirmish over a river or a border crossing can instantly draw in powers across the Middle East. There was one recent, highly unexpected moment of back-channel diplomacy. During a funeral in Dhaka, top Indian and Pakistani officials were seen publicly shaking hands. Analysts suggest this rare gesture shows that, at the highest levels, neither leadership desires full-scale war. But a single handshake cannot bridge the immense structural divisions locking them into conflict: a dead water treaty, an active insurgency, and opposing international defense pacts. U.S. think tanks analyzing these data points warn of a high mathematical probability that armed conflict will resume before the end of the year. India and Pakistan are trapped in a cycle of leverage. The specific tools they are using to squeeze each other economically and diplomatically are the exact mechanisms that make avoiding a hot war nearly impossible.